the goal of the work that I do for embodying boundaries is to heal our boundaries internally and with each other. And so this is what healthy boundaries looks like, that we are of equal size, no matter age, gender, sexuality, housing situation, mental health status. Nothing changes our size. And so the image of the circle around us, or that circle of light, I want you to imagine that's your circle. Okay. And what it is it's a protective boundary from other people hurting you. Okay. So it's like a protective boundary, this line of where you end and the other person begins. And I want you to also imagine the responsibility of that, maintaining that circle also means you're taking responsibility to prevent or take great care in not harming another person. And if you do, we just hold ourselves accountable and just move forward, right? And so it's imagining everyone on this call is in their own bubble, managing their feelings, trying to figure out what they need and what they want, right? How to express it. And then to come together, same size circles, regardless of what's said or done or not done. Does that make sense? So that's my little intro talk. I'm doing this for the month of July because, and I told my individual clients, I'm like, I think I'm going to be moving to groups. Everyone's face is like, so I was like, critical parent, unsafe to connect in groups. That makes sense. Okay. Um, so what we're going to do is we're going to practice. So anyone have anything they'd like to bring in? And it's just with me. So I'm going to guide us through, like, and it can be anything you're struggling with or confused about, or, and I'll interrupt maybe. Don't be shy, friends. This time is for you. So it's anything personal, financial, business.
So I will start, I guess.
Yes.
So there are a number of things, but I will stick to one. So I work in education, and I have a job where I'm not student facing all the time. And so to make up for not being as student facing as I'd like, since I support educators, I try to make sure I have an opportunity to be student facing and just teach some kids um, at some point every year. And so I'm struggling a little bit because there's a extended school year, summer school experience, which I think is like a great thing, and it's for students who would normally not be able to would have like learning loss
Hmm.
um, with the gap. So if they didn't do anything, they might regress. And so
Hmm.
these are students with some with severe, but a lot of special needs and differentiated learning needs. And
And lack of resources is the story I'm making up.
uh, so yeah, so they definitely don't have as many resources as in some of the affluent communities because it's urban education. But I think what I'm struggling with is that the goal of this program right now is to keep students from losing what they have, and most of it is routines, not
Mhm.
necessarily content. And so like I'm struggling because I always go into a student teacher relationship, or like any relationship that I work with people, and I like have this probably like this urge to want to help folks, and I'm struggling because I'm like I don't think I'm supposed to. Like none of the things are setting me up to do anything more than what the description is, which is make sure they don't go down. But I'm like, I have an opportunity to help them go up, right?
Mhm.
Like,
So
why
now,
can't I do that?
so I'm going to repeat what I heard and just tell me if it's okay. Part of my essence is to help whenever I can. So I'm just saying my essence is your essence, Malcolm, okay? And so even though I'm in this position where I'm just supposed to maintain this, thing, I see opportunities that I can actually bring more value and connection to these kids. who might not experience that connection. Is that okay? So now, I'm going to zoom out for
Mm-hmm.
everyone in the group, right? This seems like a specific issue with one person in the group, but this is a larger thing, right? How much do I give of myself, basically, right? So
Yeah.
whenever anyone brings anything to the group, I want you to keep listening because there's a gift here. There's a reason why you all gathered here together. And so we're here to kind of create some alchemy for each other, okay? And so, Malcolm, when you say, how much do I give? What is my responsibility? Where do you feel that in your body?
Um, so lately I've been feeling everything right right here. Um,
Awesome.
yeah.
Right here is in your throat.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want you and anyone who else feels ever any tightness, which is me, just gently put your hand there. And I want you to imagine what the feeling or the emotion is.
I think I don't I'm not quite sure. I, maybe you can help me put a name to the emotion because I
Mhm,
think like I don't know if it's like symbolic, like a voice, right? Like a voice issue or maybe not being able to speak or do the thing.
mhm. Silenced.
Yeah,
So if you were silenced, what's the emotion?
sad,
Good.
sad.
Okay, so now I want you to imagine that the emotion there is sad. Okay, who's driving that bus?
Not a functional adult.
Yeah.
I think that's my little one that's
Yes.
frustrated right now.
Good.
That's sad.
Anyone else? Anyone else driving? Because
Sad
they could
bus.
fight over the wheel. Yeah.
If yeah, so it's a yes and. So the sadness is coming from I think my little one, and I think there's a level of like frustration and all these things that's probably coming from my teenager because like there's a need to be doing more and
Yes.
honestly like I know this is about me and not necessarily about the students as much as I'm like it's about the students. I'm like it's about me because like technically nobody's asking for me to do this extra thing. Like that's not the expectation. And here I am like, no, 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 but I need to do it. And so
Mm,
like it's probably my teenager trying to protect my little one and also show folks how great and worthy I am and shiny my work is.
beautiful. Just notice that. You shared that so beautifully and clearly, Malcolm. In a group of people, you have no idea who is here, right?
That's
And so
true.
I want to highlight that when our wounded children are not protected or listened to or valued, right, or centered, it's really scary to be vulnerable. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And so I'm going to just guide you through a little bit of talking with your little ones so that we can access the functional adult and then find a nonviolent way of understanding this. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you put your little one in your lap. Okay. And so I invite other people to practice this too. I do this like any moment I can get on the toilet, on the doing dishes. I'm always like hanging out with my little ones because they were remarkably neglected, as most of us are on the planet because of capitalism, patriarchy, and white body supremacy. Okay. The amount of emotional neglect is in so much. Okay. So pulling your little one on your lap, Malcolm, I just want you to look at him, right? You just like gently put your hands on his cheeks and just say, oh my God, I'm so excited to see you. I love you so much. You can be, say, feel anything you want, and I am here for it. I'm here for all of it, and I'm going to protect you from abuse and neglect. And you don't have to do anything for me to love you. and you don't have to do anything for me to connect with you. I am here and I will not abandon you. You matter to me, and I'm going to have your back. And I love you no matter what. How does the little one feel with that?
I had a vision of my little debonair, suave, younger self. Um, and just like looking up at me approvingly, um,
Yes.
which felt nice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And now, teenager, I always imagine like next to us because they always think they're the grown up.
Yes.
So I like bump shoulders with the teenager and I'm like, hey, I'm so proud of you. Oh, all the ways that you try to take care of everybody to prove your worth and to make your like central to the relationship because you're always helping and healing and bringing value and doing so much for so many people. I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much for all the ways that you've adapted to get us to this place. And it makes sense that you're sad and frustrated and confused right now on what to do because you've always overextended and overperformed and overdone it for yourself, right? And I'm here now. I, the functional adult, am here now and I'm going to take the wheel. And I'm going to assess what I actually have in me and what's called for. And I'm going to see why first so that we don't overextend and drain our bodies too much because we have other people who actually need us. Okay. And you remind your teenager, you don't have to do a single thing to deserve connection. You have an aha. What's happening? Tell me.
It's hilarious because I like a lot of the work is, around social cues and those and interactions and all that and social emotional regulation. I'm doing a lot of this. And I had a conversation with a number of students today, like multiple times, about you're just responsible for you. Um, and as I'm listening, I'm like, oh, somebody needs to tell my teenager, simmer down. You're just responsible for you. And just really focus on that part. Um,
Yes, but here's the thing. Kids are so bright, right? We are taught to manage and police other people and control other people, right? And we're taught that and then it makes everything safe for me, right? And so to just minimize the experiences, to just focus on you, right, is leaving out the other piece, like in this group right now, right? There's a way to receive and there's a way to protect yourself and other people because they're as important as you. There is no one else like you. You are amazing. And your job is to focus on you and center you so you get to learn who you really are, right? This structure that they're teaching you is the container for that, but it does not determine your value or who you are. You do. Okay.
yeah.
And this other guy, this other person, there is no other person like them either. And the
Yeah.
same thing goes with them. So the more you're able to focus in and calm your body and stay connected to your smart part of the brain, the more you're going to discover who you really are. And our society teaches us that what we look like or how we behave or what people think about us gives us value. And I'm here to tell you it's not true.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It it makes sense and it it makes a lot of sense and it brought up something else that I think, sorry, the circles are always great for me. And just thinking about like the actual space because I think one of the things that I haven't internalized until right now is a lot of people at work have been like, "Oh, doctor, what are you doing around this? Or what are you doing around that?" Um, and I think that that might be adding to like this. grandiose of I gotta be doing more or whatever. Um, versus just kind of maintaining a sense of self. I think I might be letting people into my boundaries and inflating or deflating um, what that is, and then feeling like I have to live up to some stuff
Doctor.
that I didn't do. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
yeah, yeah,
And so it's just constantly, whoop, right sizing,
yes,
right? Like, oh, I made a mistake. Oh, it's okay. Right sizing, right? So the thing is, when you internalize your brilliance, Malcolm, you don't have to prove it anymore. And so
yeah,
your interaction, regardless of the minutia of it, they're going to sense if you see them. So you don't have to perform that. You just be yourself and you're going to connect to them and they will settle.
yeah.
Okay. So just scan your body now before I move on to see if there's someone else. What's happening in your body now? How's your throat?
Um, this is gonna sound very like I literally felt all the tension go from like top to bottom, and it's like I could almost visualize it like exiting through the roots.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So now we just got all this beautiful stuff. Thank you, Malcolm, for bringing that. So between each person, we want to just create some space. Okay. So I'm going to invite folks to drink if you have some water there or orient, right? And just take in. So what we're doing is we're creating space before we connect with someone else. As a society, we are on go, 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 go all the time. And so this is an opportunity to practice like slowing it down. Does anyone else have something to look at?
I would like to go if I can.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm still sharing this thing. Now I can see.
So this isn't necessarily my problem or my issue, but I do feel a level of responsibility to like interfere kind of. But I have a friend who is married and um her husband is verbally abusive. And I feel like I want to help her, like leave. And not because I don't think she wants to leave. I think she does want to leave. I don't think she knows how to. Um, but she also recently found out that she's expecting,
Mhm.
but she also recently had a miscarriage. Um,
Pause.
yeah,
Notice what's happening in your body. Breathe.
yeah. I feel very tense
Where?
all over,
All
honestly.
over. Mhm.
Yeah.
Do something to twist.
I don't. I'm outside.
Oh, it's okay. No, it's okay. Okay. The reason why I'm like pause is so
Mm,
the brain doesn't know that when we're talking through something, right? Doesn't know the difference between us and the other person. So the mirror neurons and how we empathize with other people can sometimes be confusing as to what I'm experiencing versus what I'm witnessing someone else experiencing.
mm,
Okay.
mhm.
And so part of this question, and you don't have to answer it, is does this struggle resonate for you somewhere in your childhood? This hope of helping someone who needed help but didn't have access. And it might not.
Maybe just like in a different way.
Mhm.
Um, I think maybe, I guess, like my mom, she's a single parent.
Mhm.
Um, and so this friend, she lives in a different country, so she's far from her family, from anyone she like actually knows.
Mhm.
Her husband is from they're in Canada. So her husband's from Canada. My
Mhm.
mom actually, she moved away from her family. Granted, not a different country, not even a different state, but she moved away from her family to be with my dad. And like after her and my dad divorced, it was just her. And then she like also relied on my dad's family. But yeah, I guess that kind of tracks.
So now we're going to zoom out a second,
Mhm.
okay? Because you started with, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
I don't even know if this is my problem, right?
Yeah.
When we're young children witnessing or experiencing certain things, were you a child when your mom, or you weren't? Okay.
When she was a single parent. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
How old?
I don't even think I was like one.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
So in young childhood, okay, if this were you
Mm,
and this was your parent, you're going to be non-existent. You're going to be so enmeshed with your parent,
mm,
right? So if your parent is stressed out or struggling or longing for something or unhappy, the child will take that on as they did it, or they can fix it, or it's their issue. Does that make
mm,
sense? Because there's
yeah.
no boundary in young childhood. They're like sponges. They just absorb everything.
Mm,
And just a pause for any parents out there. Don't worry, right? This is there's no perfection, okay? It's just about understanding how the body and brain works, okay? And so something to consider, Tia, is if you have an impulse to help someone, if it's because you want to help them do something that they need to actually do themselves, right? Because they're the grown up,
yes.
versus is it mine to do? Does that make sense? So what happens when I just wonder that out loud? What's happening in your body?
Well, and that's the funny thing is like this whole time I'm like, she's an adult. So it's like I can't control her. I can't make her do this. And I can't drag her on a plane to leave. So I mean, I think it's just like things that I'm like, yeah, I know. I think I'm just frustrated because I don't want things to get worse. And
Right. So where do you feel that frustration in your body? This is amazing. This is awesome. Where do you feel that frustration in your body?
mm, I guess my chest.
So put your chest there or your hand there.
Yes.
And I invite anyone else if they want to as well, right? So when you feel into that, it's frustration.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's driving?
Probably my teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
I mean, I guess my wounded child. Maybe, honestly, I just feel like it's my teenager. Like really upset.
Like,
Yeah.
okay. So it's about the functional adult gaining control over the wheel again. Okay. So you just want to like imagine bumping shoulders with your teenager and be like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. Right. So teenagers always need three things. The first thing is respect. The second is validation. And then the third is a boundary. Okay. So I'm so proud of you. You have like done so many different things. You have tried so many different things, and you are constantly available to all these other people around what they're struggling with, and you're helping people and you're supporting. You have so much love to give. Thank you so much for all the ways that you adapted to be so central to so many people. And correct me if any of this is not right. Okay. And it makes sense that you're so angry and frustrated at this friend. And I'm here now. I'm going to take the wheel because I think we're really frustrated that we keep focusing on other people's problems instead of our own life and living it. How does that land?
Yeah. Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Very
How does
true.
a teenager feel now?
I think she's chill. I yeah, because yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's so real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've really been like struggling with my life. But I think that is because I've been thinking about so many other people.
Mm-hmm.
and what they're dealing with.
hands or emojis. I'm like, this is why I do what I do. It's so much easier to focus on everyone else's stuff than mine, right? So we got like thumbs up and nodding, right? And so now it makes me think there's a wounded child driving too.
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
Because our wounded children are the ones who create our worldview and belief system. And so if the teenager internalizes how they were parented and internalizes the beliefs around them, the systems around them, right?
mm,
The wounded child is actually the map maker or the author or the like computer programmer for the whole thing, right?
mm.
And so if in your wounded child, I want you to see if there's a belief, my job is to make other people happy.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now we're going to zoom out. Your wounded child needs to hear from your functional adult, Tia. Sweetheart, you can't make mom happy. That's her job. And she was so into whatever, right? With respect and love, right?
Mm,
That she didn't see how amazing you are and give you that attention and environment that you needed, the way that you needed. And only look to me because that had nothing to do with you, honey. Does this land?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now, like, if you can sense into your little one and see if there's any, how that's landing in her.
Yeah, I think it lands well. I think it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll both be okay. My teen and my wounded child. Yeah, I mean, I never thought of it that way with like my mom or
Mm-hmm.
again, always feeling like I need to like help people and be the guiding light for people. So it's good to,
Yes. So the wounded child will do that because the stability of the caregiver
mm,
ensures your survival as a child.
mm,
Okay.
mm-hmm,
That's why there's that adaptation of like, I'm going to be the selfless person and save everyone. I mean, that's why I was a therapist. I was trying to make my mom happy. So I'm
yeah,
like, let me make you happy. Let me make you happy. Client, let me make you happy. Right.
yeah,
And so remind your little ones, our friends who are adults have access to their functional adult. This is their journey. They need to go through this. Okay.
mm,
And you tell your little ones, as I take over the wheel, we don't have to do this perfectly,
mm,
but we're going to do this because this is our one life. And I'm not going to let the teenager criticize the little ones in any way because there are no mistakes. There's just decisions with data points that give you information on the next decision. Does that make sense?
mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's easier to focus on someone else because then you're not responsible.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
So notice in your body now what's happening.
Well, I guess I'm still just like, so I don't help her. Like, so do I just wait for her to come to me and be like, ready to go?
So here's the boundary that might feel appropriate for, does your friend keep calling you for advice or venting?
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
She's like one of those people who like will tell you partial, like parts of a story, and then like months later, like the full story will come out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I worry because I worry that like maybe things are worse than what she's saying they are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But there's no way for me to know.
Right. So my suggestion is you say, friend,
Mhm.
historically, I've noticed that you say little bits and pieces to try to not let me worry, or the story I make up is so you don't let me worry, or maybe you're worried I'm going to judge you. And then I find out later that it was even harder. You know,
Mm.
so I want you to know that I'm always worried and thinking about you and available, but I can't be as present if I don't trust that you're going to tell me the full story.
Mm.
And I won't judge, but I need that to feel like I can trust and deepen and strengthen this relationship,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Because you not trusting is a lot of energy drain,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that might be the start of a conversation between the two of you.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
If you're not going
Yeah.
to tell me the full story, it's going to be really hard for me to take this call.
Right. Right.
Right? I'm
Okay.
here, but I'm just
Yeah.
telling you that it makes me start to question things.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
How's your body doing?
My body is fine. I mean, I feel like it's loosening a bit, but
Mhm,
yeah, I think I'm
mhm,
still just like a little frustrated.
mhm.
Still.
So now I want you to just, and then we'll shift to someone else.
Mm.
See if that frustration is energy or juice for something else for
Mm.
you.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing that, Tia.
Yeah, thank you.
So take a little break, drink a little water, move your body. Oh my God, it's only 7:40. Anyone else have something they'd like to look at? You can also write it in the chat.
Judy, I have a question.
Mhm.
When you were speaking with Malcolm, you said that a lot of us have been emotionally neglected as children because of capitalism, patriarchy. Um, would you be able to expand a little on that? Because I have an almost 2-year-old and I'm trying to learn, best ways of parenting. So yeah,
Mhm.
if you could just speak a little to that.
Mhm. So one of the reasons why I call this group cycle breaking is because it's actually generational patterns that we're trying to break that now look like this is the way things are. Okay. So my teacher and author and trauma therapist, Resma Menachem, wrote a book called My Grandmother's Hands. And in that book, he says trauma decontextualized in a person looks like personality, right? And so, just using this as an example, for a child who does not get emotional attunement or connection with a parent, they might seem detached or self centered, or however that adaptation comes up in them, right? And so it just looks like, yeah, they don't need anything. They're totally self sufficient, right? Looks like personality. Trauma in a family decontextualize looks like family traits. So one of the reasons why I'll use my example, my family couldn't attune emotionally to me was because they didn't have access to resource. Immigrant family, um, working all the time. So because they were emotionally and financially stressed, they could not emotionally attune. And so the family culture looked like everyone's just doing their own thing. Busy, busy, busy. Okay. But not like sitting and going, how's it going? I noticed you're moving a little differently today. What's going on? So there's none of that. It's just like, oh, everyone's busy and doing fine, right? Trauma decontextualized in a group of people looks like culture. So now we look at capitalistic America. Capitalism was built on chattel slavery. That is how it started, right? Looks like everyone's driven, everyone's achieving, everyone's there. When's the next iPhone? When's the constant pushing, right? And so emotional attunement is actually just sitting and going, you feel like emotionally feeling into someone else and going, I'm noticing this is what's happening, right? Or, oh, you're so sad. Or you're crying. I notice you're crying. Do you need something? Right? There is not enough modeling of how to do that with human beings. When sometimes my kid has a tutor, and the tutor is amazing. And I just like, when I went to go pick up my kid, I was like, this is your gift. Oh my gosh, I can see how you attune to my daughter and you're just doing this. And she was like, what? And I was like, no, there's this quality of like, you see this thing and you, right? And she had no idea what I was talking about. But because I've been practicing emotional attunement and witnessing, right? Connection on an energetic and like emotional level, they feel seen, right? And so as a parent, it's really important to heal boundaries because then it prevents us from projecting onto our children, which we all do all the time, right? She's not able to read. I failed as a parent versus the way that she learns is different and I need a different support system. Does that make sense? So it's really understanding, what does this child need? What environment does this child need? Not, how do I get them to fit in the larger school system? Right? That doesn't really care about the child. They just want to produce someone who's going to follow the rules and behave and sit still and not question anything. Does that make sense? I don't know if that answered. I went off on all these tangents. I don't know if that answered the question.
Yes, absolutely. What you said about family traits, the example you gave about like like a family being like very busy, kind of like working, making money, doing their own thing. Like I really resonate with that because I grew up with my parents were immigrants and they were always working and didn't really attune to my emotions. So I'm trying to, break that cycle and, figure out how best to do that with my own child. So I also appreciate you giving like examples of like sitting with them and like, just looking at their body or how they're feeling. Yes, that's very helpful. Thank you.
And so is it okay if we use this as a little coaching moment?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm like, I wish I had known this when I had kids that were really young. Damn it. All right. And everyone's going to be okay. So when you look at your child, right, I want you to always be looking in at your own wounded child. So historically, we have been taught as moms, right? Sacrifice everything to the child. They are paramount. Martyr, like all this other stuff, which is going to replicate the emotional neglect that you experienced in childhood, right? And you won't even notice it because you don't know what emotional attunement actually feels like in your body. Does that make sense? And so when I say that, I mean, you wake up, hopefully your child maybe gives you like 2 minutes in the bathroom and go, how am I doing, little one? How's my tween? How's my teenager? And if you don't know, that's totally fine. That's a great place to start because at least now you're looking, right? And so my suggestion is the first thing you want to tell your wounded child is that your parents didn't not emotionally attune to you because you didn't matter. They didn't emotionally attune to you because they didn't know what that was either. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
What happens in your body as I say that?
Some sort of relief, because I do notice myself like giving a lot to parenting and the household, and I like don't realize that, that's exactly like playing out my childhood where, I did not focus on myself or my emotions. It was giving to my extracurricular activities or school. So it's just same thing. So I think that's great to for me to like slow down and notice.
Slow down and notice. And also, okay, I'm going to zoom out. I have a BIPOC only group for a reason, okay? Is when it's a mixed group, there's a different way of sharing or being seen, okay? So what I love to do is to coach people who are in cross-cultural or intercultural relationships, because the larger systems of oppression show up in those relationships at home, okay? So the story I make up, Joy, is as an Asian woman, generationally, we have been taught to be invisible and helpful, okay? Subservient, you know? And so it's understanding the context of that expectation is really intense because it's generational and needs to constantly be worked on, right? And so in case you're in a cross-cultural relationship, it's also making sure that you're not unintentionally, right, downsizing your needs for the needs of the other person if they're used to being centered. How does that land?
Yeah. I I would love to like think about this and like explore it more, because my husband is white, and I I feel like this is like a whole thing. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
right.
so it's just, oh, yeah, see, there's like hearts and me too. I was in a cross-cultural relationship. And so it's understanding, right? It's not anyone's, there's no villains, right? No matter what, everyone's the same size, right? And so if you notice you downsizing yourself, you know, your boundary and who you are, it's about right sizing you this way. But sometimes if someone's used to feeling so small or not having any needs, right sizing actually feels like oppression. I'm being such a bitch. Or, oh, I'm so sensitive, right? And so it's reminding yourself, no, I think I should have this. It's totally okay for me to ask for this need, right? Which is very different than someone's want, okay? And so for the folks that I've worked with who have white partners, particularly male white partners, unconsciously, their needs, they've been seen, right, as center in a lot of spaces and have access and to resource, power, and privilege generationally. Okay. So when we right size them, they get pissed. And that's totally okay. Like we said with, you know, other folks on this call, how they feel is not your responsibility. They need to regulate themselves, right? And sometimes if someone's needs have been centered for a long time and you right size them and they actually think that they're doing this to them, emasculating them or controlling them or whatever, in your mind, you have to remind yourself, no, his want or his preference or his comfort is not as important as my need, right? And in that way, you can stay grounded and not be intense and blow like I did or I do, you know, because I'm always like, oh, does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Feel into your body and notice any sensations.
Yeah, just my shoulders usually are a little, yeah. I really resonate with what you just said.
Mhm. Good. So if I invite you to just kind of settle your body. If you're sitting, laying down, standing, that's totally fine. You just kind of want to sway your body and move it. And then at some point, pause and then just notice what part of your body is touching the ground or the chair or the bed. Okay. And just notice that that is supporting you without any effort. And so imagine, if you'd like, to grow roots from the base of your body down
Anybody?
through the floor,
Good, good.
down through the floor and into the earth. And just imagine the earth pulling any intensity or tiredness or stress out of your body and metabolizing it. And then bring your awareness up through your body, through your legs, through your sitting bones and belly. Make sure you're breathing down into your belly. Notice how your chest is, your back. And as you reach up to your head, I want you to imagine a sun above you and just pulling in that light from the top of your head into your body and filling up your physical body with that light and warmth. And as you're filling up your body with the light and warmth, I want you to emanate the light from your heart and expand it around you. So it's like you're forming a bubble. Okay. And I want you to imagine that this bubble is protective. Okay. So it protects you and it protects others. Okay. So now, as you imagine this around you is that light that you pulled in from the sun above you and you created a bubble around you, I want you to open your eyes and just slowly orient to the room. And so what you're going to do is just imagine a bubble around you, right? And just take in what you see around you. So you can twist over your hip, look behind you, slowly take in the objects in that space. And what you're doing is you're reminding yourself that you're here in this group right now, but within your home. So the hours, because I know how busy people are, is like 7 to 8 for this group. And then I have like spillover time, 8 to 8:15 for folks who want to stay around and chat or ask more questions. But I want to honor that time, right? So our last 5 minutes of this official group is what I call cleanup and shout outs. And that's anything that I said that might have rubbed you the wrong way is a cleanup to offer, right? So that I can hold myself accountable to practice that. And then, or anything that you got from today, like a shout out of like, oh, I'm going to take this with me and I'm going to leave what's not helpful here. Does that make sense? Not everyone has to do it, but if there's something that anyone has.
I think I'm definitely going to take this is a shout out. Definitely take your advice with my friend, with just like voicing like the trust aspect with how she tells me things. I do really have to back off of the thought of trying to get her out of Canada. But yeah, I'm hoping that maybe just like communicating with her that, you know, this is a safe space for her to open up more to me. Maybe that'll, I don't know, open up other doors, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be okay with whatever the outcome will be.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to
Hopefully.
reflect back. I'll be okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Tia.
Thank you, Judy, for creating the space for us to be here. I think it's just the reminder that oftentimes it's really not about other people, it's really about us, you know, and yeah, and also just really looking at like who's driving the bus and what is like my need or what is my child's needs.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can give a shout out, right? So I think I'd like to give a shout out to Joy for just kind of bring, as somebody who is also parenting a young child. I just appreciate you kind of getting that clarification because I think it served as a big reminder to me to continue to think about this work and take some space. So I know I didn't ask the question, but I definitely benefited from it. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to I'm going to always close the groups in this way where we just kind of look at each other if you want to, right? And what you're going to do is like, you're going to take what you need. And so the thing is, like, our brains are so powerful that we can just imagine what it is. Like, oh, I'm going to take love and belonging, or right. And then you're going to just leave whatever you don't want to carry. And what's nice about the Zoom room is I just close it and then it's done. Okay, so use this as a dumping ground. Okay. And then after we do that, I'll hang out for anyone who wants a little extra time. Okay. So just imagine what you're taking from the group and also leaving things that you don't want to carry. Thank you so much.